Thank you and welcome to the show this morning. The topic this morning is the great debate, President Barack Obama. And of course we have with us to talk about the great debate, Dr. Al-Hadid. Dr. Al-Hadid, I think we've had many opportunities to talk about what we call the great debate.
Yes,
and I think that in a real sense, our audience should be aware that you really created this whole series, this idea of having what, a great debate. And I think you've presented many great debates in terms of what you've been doing. And this is another of those great debate series that you'd like to present to us today. And this is about President Barack Obama. And what we want to do today is to give you an opportunity to first sort of tell our audience some few statements about your situation of being here now, and then to get into dealing with the great debate, President Barack Obama, from the point of race, religion, and politics. And so let's see if we'll start off by having you to give us some statements in reference to your situation.
Well, as you know, Dr. Haney, I was at Tennessee State University for a number of years, and my last time there, I was the chair of the Africana Studies Department. And I left the university and I served as a principal of an Islamic school. So now I'm just enjoying life and writing books and then moving forward.
Very good. And I understand that you're really moving forward now and enjoying life and etc. But let's talk about the first part of this great debate on President Barack Obama, and that is this issue of race. What about that?
Well, let's start with Du Bois' statement, and so of black folks, where he indicated that the problem of the 20th century would be the color line, where he was talking about the whole question of race. And he envisioned a collection of the talented 10th, who would basically be lawyers, doctors, preachers, and business persons. And these would be the race men who would lift up the race from the standpoint of leadership. And at the same time, you had Booker T. Washington, who felt that we had to produce a class of entrepreneurs and producers, people who would come from the land and produce things. So this was the initial great debate, and as you know, the forum that I created at Tennessee State involved the dialectics between Martin Luther King and Malcolm X around the question of integration versus separation. And I think when we come to President Barack Obama, I see him as a synthesis of the tension between Dr. King and Malcolm, in the sense that Barack Obama went through a period in his life where he was dealing with his identity. I mean, his mother was white from Kansas, his father was African from Kenya, he was a Luo. And so he went through life for the first 18 or 20 years of his life, not really being certain about his identity. So that takes us into what Du Bois was talking about in terms of the double consciousness, as he also outlined, you know, in the souls of black folks. So what I see in Barack Obama is I see him as a synthesis of Dr. King and Malcolm X. I think that his ideas are a lot closer to Dr. King because of his Christian background. And there's some characteristics that I see in President Obama. One, his character, just unimpeachable character, morally upright. Two would be his intellect. I think post W.E.B. Du Bois, he's probably one of the most brilliant African Americans who graduated from Harvard University. He was the first to become president of the Harvard Law Review, and you know, he also received the Nobel Peace Prize, and of course he was the first African American to become president of the United States. So we thought that Du Bois was the greatest of the giants to come to Harvard, but I think not that Obama has eclipsed W.E.B. Du Bois, but I think he's come along in the 21st century, and he will pretty much dominate the 21st century in terms of being a great intellect, the same way Du Bois dominated the 20th century. Another thing about Obama, we point out his great intellect. A third thing is his charisma. I mean, Obama is a poet. He has this ability to articulate his ideas. We haven't had a great communicator since Ronald Reagan on the level of Obama. I mean, he's in that same league with Ronald Reagan and John F. Kennedy. So his charisma. Then we'll look at his judgment in terms of how he is detached. He is what I call a pragmatic idealist, almost on a Zen level. I view Obama as like a Zen master. The level of discipline that he has, level of detachment. He's always fully engaged but never overreact. And finally, his vision. And I see his vision as an upgrade on the dream of Dr. Martin Luther King.
Very good. And of course, Dr. AAl-Hadid, what we're going to do, we're going to take our first commercial break, and then we'll come back and we'll have you to go into that second area, and that is religion.
Yes.
And of course, we'll be back with our audience following this very, very short commercial break. The guest is Dr.